he was coming out on my shoulders, so I went on out to get out of the way. I jumped out.
Did you see William Brooks at that point?
No, I didn't, but he was coming up behind me out of this little tunnel from the compartment that I had just come out of, but I didn't see him. And then, as I say, I thought the boy was bloody, but Jay told me, Jay DeBoer, our pilot, told me that he talked to Mitchell, who was our turret gunner, that it was not blood, it was hydraulic fluid had blown all over his face, and that it had blinded him, and that's the reason I thought he was stunned, because he couldn't see at all. But he made it all right, but he was captured, and he went to prison with Charles Reagan right over there.
So what happened to you now? The plane is on fire,
okay.
And
I jumped out. I opened my parachute and landed in a tree. My parachute did, and left me hanging about 40 feet off the ground. And I heard someone coming, and I thought, well, I'm not going to be hanging up here when they come and let them shoot me hanging in the tree. So I dropped down a snowbank, and it was over my head by 10 feet or more. It was a very deep snowbank. And after a while, finally, there was this man's father, that man right there. He's a Petalana. I don't know his first name, but his father, Beto Petalana.
He came along?
Came along with some dogs, and I came out of the snow, and I said, do you speak English? And he said, sure. For 20 years, I lived in Plainfield, New Jersey.
What are the chances of that?
1.5 million to 1. He put me with the partisan group, and they took me down that night to a tool shed in a valley. And then I moved to a barn the next night, and then they had made arrangements with the Pisoni family for me to occupy this secret room. And I'd been in here a couple of days when they brought in Swenson, the tail gunner. I don't know exactly how he got.
You must have been glad to see him.
Oh yeah,
And you stayed here for 3 months.
Right. I was a member of this, I was a member of this family, except during the day I'd never see them. At night, when they felt it was safe, they would call me, and I'd go over the top and down the stairs to
be a part
kitchen,
of their family.
And we would listen to the radio and visit and talk. And during that time, I learned enough Italian to be able to understand the conversation. I couldn't converse, but...
Where were the Germans now? They knew you were here somewhere.
They had a little command post around here somewhere, and they would come up to this fountain every day and shave and clean up. I'd see them out here getting water.
You'd watch them from that window? Did you stay here because you knew the war was coming to an end, or why did you not try to escape?
Well, I felt like I was going to be safe here. These people were going to look after me, and if I got out, I knew I'd be caught. All of these people that walking around, Americans like that, were caught. Jay was very fortunate that he was able to get out of this part of the world.
And you were but you were worried about your family too, this family that had adopted you.
Oh yeah.
Were you caught? The Germans would have killed them.
Yeah, they would have made us tell who had been keeping them, and they'd come back here and kill these folks.
Did you live in fear every day that you were here?
No, I started feeling at home. You can fear things just so long, and then it becomes sort of natural.
What's it like being here today?
I can't describe it.
Very special.
Incredible. For my children and grandchildren to see this.
Charles Reagan had a very different story to tell. What was your job on Miss Bobby?
I was a radio operator and a waste gunner. Had a 50 caliber machine gun out each window. I was throwing out what they called chaff to sort of a foil to disrupt the radar for the gunners, and had a cardboard box in front of me, and all at once the bombardier called, "Bombs away." I don't know if I should say it. "Let's get the hell out of here." That was the regular vernacular.
Yes.
And immediately we'd go into maneuvers to get out of the area.
So what happened to you when you hit the ground?
I got up and started walking on too. And the Germans yelled, "Halt, halt," again. And I didn't halt right away, and that time they fired another couple of rifle rounds, and they went so close I could hear them buzz past my head. So and I knew I was cornered because they called all around to all their buddies, and they were closing in. So
Do you think you were going to die?
I didn't know. I debated. I had a loaded 45 in the shoulder holster, and I sat there and debated whether to try to use it or not. And finally, I decided there's so many of them around that if I shoot a couple of these guys, I'm not going to make it. So I decided to give up, and I just walked out with my hands up. And they just grinned at me and said, "Put my hands down," motioned for me to put them down, which I did, and they walked up and they were quite friendly. And,
Where did the SS come in then?
he walked in after a while. It was like they were waiting for him to come. And finally he showed up, and him and the Wehrmacht captain stood in the middle of the floor and argued. And it was an extremely heated argument, yelling at each other, and none of which I could understand, except that he would get so agitated, the SS officer would at times, and turn and just glare at me and pull his pistol out of the holster. And the argument would keep going on, he'd slide it back in. And that happened, I would say, at least 4 times. And while that was going on, all the German partisans that had come in and occupied the other tables,
The Italian partisans.
the Italian partisan,